And then there's two sets of things you can do. It's what would you like ChatGPT to know about you to provide a better response, and then how would you like ChatGPT to respond. Let me show you kind of a real world example that I sometimes end up working with. I like using ChatGPT to generate pieces of code, but since I'm a more experienced developer, I don't want so much background or explanation or chit-chat. And I also want to make sure that it's using the languages that I'm currently working with. So maybe I want something like a Fibonacci sequence function. So I'll say create a function to generate a Fibonacci sequence.
Alô.
Now, if I end up working with ChatGPT a lot, I don't want to have to write every single time that I'm just looking for code in a language. Like maybe I always want it in JavaScript.
Avançou.
GPT itself tends to default a little more towards Python. We'll see later on when we discuss code interpreter why that is. But you can see it provides a little bit of text here, the code itself, and then often it's going to add in running the code as well as explaining the code. Starts answering more questions about the code, etc. But maybe I just want code and actually
Tem 3 nesse bomb, mais 2 no caso. Tem os dois no
go back to my custom instructions.
Fênix e Sky no bombear.
What I do for work is always in JavaScript, for instance. So I'll say
Fênix tá também.
JavaScript.
Vai a mesmo.
Then
Spike no chão.
Tá os dois na água. Dá pra rodar, mano.
I want to say only provide code examples with no explanation.
Fênix tomou.
Usage
Fechou. Vira pra ele.
functions. So I'm going to now save that.
Dois aí, dois lá.
55 no Fênix.
This right here,
Tem
and I'll start
spot
a
pra
new chat
qualquer
that has
coisa.
those custom instructions.
É tu solo, viu?
I'll paste that in, and let's see what the reply is now. So now, it immediately just goes to JavaScript, no other explanation, no,
Eita,
hey,
porra, só
how are you
versa
doing,
meio.
or I'm happy to help that out, and now I can just see the copy code, and I'm ready to go. So copying the code here is essentially the same as copying the entire response. So custom instructions
Reação mínima. Último jogador
the
vivo.
way you want it to respond. And you can also use this to your advantage to do things like instead of having to do
Ele clicou já? Clicou, né?
prompts, you jump straight with a custom instruction. So recall our example here of film ratings, where we were
Dá pra dar
giving
remake,
just, like,
mano, vocês querem?
positive or negative examples. But let's imagine I don't want to have to write the
Escreve aí. Barra
templates
remake.
for okay, this is a negative review, this is a
Volta aí,
positive
boa.
review, etc.
Ah, quem foi o corninho?
Just to say
Quem foi? Vai, eu que iniciei a
Mentiroso, foi eu que iniciei,
F5.
mentiroso.
sentiment.
Eu iniciei a votação, não consigo nem votar.
We'll say given a movie review, reply back in a letter
Quem é mentiroso, hein? Falando que foi que iniciou a votação é mentiroso.
for
Foi eu
example,
que iniciei.
a
Então foi nós dois mesmo.
D, F. And then I'm going to save that. And I will grab a movie review. We'll go to Tomatoes page for Oppenheimer. Scroll down here to see some reviews. Okay, so we see a full review here. Looks like this person rated it. Click on that review, and then I'm going to copy and paste this review. You'll say I'm quite well, don't worry about that, and I'll make sure it's
Inimigo no ar. Último jogador vivo.
Dei 7-5 na fade aí, bro. Ai não,
I will
rapaziada.
paste that review in. Notice now I don't need to worry about even giving context that this is a movie review or that I want some sort of letter grade. That was all in the custom instructions. So now I hit enter and we scroll down here. And so now it says, okay, based on this, I would grade this film in A. And I can continue with my custom instructions to try to only make it
Não,
respond
dá pra
with
ganhar
A.
isso aqui, tá
So I
ligado?
can
Porra.
always come back here.
Cabeça fria até vencer.
Say, analyze movie reviews for sentiments. I am only looking for a
Quero
single
votar pouquinho.
letter grade. Given a review effect, let's reply back to letter grade, F. And then we'll say only reply back with a single letter grade. And we can say no other commentary. So I will save that change. And we can copy to a new chat. I'll paste that same review again. Delete that extra space where the image was.
Mangado.
And
Da
now it says
puta.
it's an A. Perfect. And that
Vai
matched
mangar a
up
mãe.
basically
Ou
what
em
the
meio.
person said. They gave it an A minus, but I didn't give it that option. The minuses looks like the custom instructions. Very powerful. So we have
Mano, vai B.
ChatGPT. Okay, we'll see you next time.
Inimigo morto.
Pode ir. Homem, planta.
Homem tá aqui em cima, aqui, ó.
Lá vai cá.
Welcome everyone to this
Tá vendo aqui
lecture
essa
of
porra?
understanding
Ah, tá bem.
hallucinations. A common issue with large language models is their ability to sound very confident in a response or completion and yet be factually incorrect. It can be difficult to actually detect these issues since we usually don't know the correct answer for a query ahead of time. Often the whole
comigo.
point of a query to ChatGPT is to find out about information that you yourself are not certain.
Eu acho que tá meio,
Vai pro
viu?
meio. Ele vai pro meio,
Now,
ele
when a
vai pro
model
meio, tá?
gives the output that sounds
Pra
very
você, Su.
plausible but is not actually true,
Resta inimigo.
that is referred to as a
Boa.
hallucination. It should be noted that if the model outputs text
Guarda.
that's actually widely believed to be true but is actually false,
É, medo desses caras é muito ruim, mano. Na moral, dá pra ganhar isso aqui fácil, mano. Vambora. Pra nós jogar
Os
junto.
outros dois ali.
We'll show you an example of this later on when we interact with ChatGPT.
Ô, tinha dado
let's discuss a few
120 naquele
strategies
frente
for
ali, viu?
understanding
Papão.
hallucinations and how we can attempt to avoid them.
Fui eu.
Recall that the model
Dei
is
40
just
só,
trying to
foi mal.
optimize for high probability
Pode
outputs.
voltar a
And
bangada,
we'll
né?
try to match the style requested. So here you can see I'm asking it about the
Ô,
latest
homem,
statistics about
smoca a
maybe
janela,
technology
mano. Vamos
company I
tentar
made
bater
up
meio de novo.
called
Esses caras não
Uber
sabem
Duper
bater meio, não.
And so it gave me some
Então,
some
quando eu
really
filmo essa
interesting
bang do Fênix é um
statistics
diabo,
that look
velho.
really
Fica
real,
fechado.
but they're totally
Ele,
made up.
ele é bangar insta.
So even the world's most advanced models can hallucinate. This
Essa
was
smoke
made
aqui foi dele,
famous
foi?
by announcement of
Mas
Google
isso foi-
Bard
Estão aqui.
Nossa, mas que smoke tinha aquela telefone ali, velho.
ChatGPT and
Falando
Twitter
desse-
buffer, especially on Twitter,
Tá miado, ó.
because it decided to answer a question in a strange way. It said that
Tem a-
the James
Não.
Space Webb Telescope
Desculpa falar aí,
took
homem,
the very
mas que
first
smoke foi
pictures
essa,
of a
meu amigo?
planet outside of our
Okay.
own solar system. That's not technically true. The first picture was actually 15 years before the launch of this telescope. And it should be noted that sometimes people define exoplanets in different ways. So technically, depending on how you actually manage to do your
Mano, tem
definition, it could
tem
be said
coragem
that
de ir?
James Webb Space
Vem cá.
Telescope actually
Eu
did
vou pegar o orbe e
confirm the
voltar.
presence of that exoplanet for the first time, and maybe not a photo. So it really depends on how you define hallucination
Sky
versus
mangou meio.
maybe a
Sky tá
misconception
bobê, tá?
versus just a mistake. So an interesting solution that can be used with these large language models is their own ability to understand certainty of answers probabilistically. We can use prompt engineering to assist the
Tem
model
drone, tem
to not
spot, alguma
answer
coisa?
questions where the model has some degree of uncertainty.
Drona.
So
Vou
instead of
fazer a
just
parede.
asking something
Restam
like,
30
"Use
segundos."
the first telescope to take a picture of an exoplanet, you would add on an engineered prompt to say, only answer your 100% certainty, otherwise reply, sorry, I'm not sure
Só vem,
what
só vem. Planta aqui, ó.
any sort of manner you want. So thinking back to our fake technology startup that I called Uber Duper Super
Spike
Booper, here I
plantado.
also said, answer, no statistics available if you're not sure about
Um
this
jogador
company
vivo.
actually
Nossa,
existing,
quase
you can
tô-
see that says no
Momento, cara.
statistics.
Valeu.
You should also know that that sort of change may
Quase
have it
pegando essa cara
not give
direitinho,
results
Frank.
that it actually does know to be true. So for example, here I'm
Mano, é
saying
só esse Timber voltar, mano. É
statistics
só esse
about a
Timber
technology
voltar.
startup named Uber, and then it says no statistics available. So there's kind of two
Timber.
issues there. One is Uber does exist, but maybe the model didn't have
Ah,
access to
pô,
the
3
latest
a 1, rapaz.
information, so it decides to say no statistics available. So it's not that it doesn't know that Uber exists, but it didn't know the latest statistics. And here, if the model knows about Uber or doesn't know about
Yep.
Uber, we can kind of assume based off previous conversations it does know about Uber, but it's important to note that there are limitations to this particular style of prompt.
Mano, quer parar a mira? Ô, Reis, para a mira aqui, ó. Para a mira aqui na...
Não, pegar. Não, eu sou horrível de
We're
op.
also going to explore how
Tá certo,
GPT-4
preciso de vocês
has
mesmo.
built-in structure to handle wider use cases and avoid
bangar, vai bangar.
hallucinations for certain types of problems. For example,
Espera na
on math
banca,
problems. Let's head over to ChatGPT and get
A
some
minha vai dar
Vamos
TP na sua
merda.
esquerda.
Okay, so here I
E
am
vai dar
at
TP no...
ChatGPT. First, I want to show you
Tá
the
aqui, assim, pá.
differences between 3.5 and GPT-4. We'll
Mas
see that
não
GPT-4 is
Espera,
actually a
mano.
lot more capable
Espera.
and knows some truths that GPT-4
Sei, não.
I first want to show you a
Ó,
misconception.
tá pegando um orbe do lado.
For example, I'm gonna
Spike no
ask,
chão, B.
what is the founding story of
Fica fechado, Reis. Boa.
with Reed Hastings?
Ali.
Question mark.
Pega esse.
Okay. So, I scroll up here
Peguei
and
um
it says
aqui.
founding story of Reed
Tem aí?
Hastings. He was frustrated by the process
Tem que
of
ser
renting
olhando bem.
movies.
Tem chance.
He had rented a movie,
Então tem que
heard a
ler.
late
Tô com a
fee, which
Spike.
led him to
Mano,
consider
você tem
that, of
ult,
course,
quer tentar?
there has to be a better way. And so it starts talking about him and Mark Randolph.
Peguei.
and everyone illuminate these late
Vem, mano.
fees,
Tem que entrar no
and
bomb. Eu tô com
so on
30
and
de
so
vida.
forth. Now, let me go ahead and copy this question, and I'm going to feed it now into
Último jogador vivo.
Ai, fio de merda.
See what
Spike no chão, B.
Buceta, dois fios nessa
So now, what's pretty interesting here is it starts to understand
Ah,
that
tá
there's
vendo?
actually
Cada
a
degrau ali, ó.
popular version of the story, which is technically not true. And an issue with this is Reed Hastings and Mark Randolph
Achei a
kind of
tempo, eu esperei
propagated
pra entrar
this
ali, né?
myth of this $40
Nossa,
late
um
fee
saco jogar com
that
esse
was
saco,
this eureka moment of
É,
starting Netflix.
mano, vamos fazer assim, ó, não dá cara não.
but
Vamos
it's
esperar
actually more of a
algum pique desses
mythology.
caras. Esses caras estão querendo
And you
picar,
can
os caras
see
estão
here
sabendo que eles
that
estão jogando com a mais,
GPT-4
vamos esperar,
actually
mano.
understands that the
Joga
late
isso
fee
daqui.
story
Só jogar
is
certinho.
contested and it's a bit
Tira
of
aqui pros caras.
mythology and was kind of made
Acho
up.
que os caras, pelo menos de
So
views, não
we
são
kind of stop
merda,
generating here.
É
You can
nada,
see
mano.
it does mention the $40 late fee, but then also mentions that there's a bit of contestation or controversy around it. Was it actually true? Was it a late fee, or did they kind of think of this idea? And you
Ô,
can
ô,
go
Suva,
to
tenta
the
quebrar a câmera
Wikipedia
dele,
list
tá
of
por aqui.
misconceptions.
Tá por aqui, ó. Tá por aqui a
And
câmera
if you
dele.
scroll down here, you'll see that Netflix,
Não vê
being
nada, não.
founded by this $40 late fee,
Ele vai ativar.
was actually
Tem um meio, tem um meio, tem um meio, tem um meio.
Dois meio, dois meio, dois
Now
meio.
admitted that
Fade
they kinda
e
just made up
Cypher
the
meio.
story. And if you read the book That Will Never Work, the
Mais
book
um,
of
Cypher
Netflix,
também.
which was written by
Ativando o
the
drone.
founder of Netflix, Mark Randolph, he admits that this mythology story
Ele vai direito
of the
aqui, ó.
world
Vamos lá,
was
vamos lá,
basically
vamos lá,
totally
vamos lá,
made
vamos
up
lá.
because it sounded
Quem
so
tá vago,
good.
Ivo? Quem tá
In
vago, Ivo?
reality,
Homem, pega
they
meio,
were
pega meio,
trying
pega
to
meio,
think of
pega
many
meio.
different new company ideas on their carpool from Santa Cruz into Silicon
Tem um aqui
Valley.
dentro da smoke.
So, is
Ok.
this
Acho que tem
a
ninguém dentro do
hallucination? I would argue by
Tem
the
um meio
way we think about hallucination, this is not technically a hallucination, and
Último jogador
Nossa,
vivo.
0.5
meio,
is also
cara.
not technically a hallucination. It's more just of a misconception
Ok,
because
meio.
the founders themselves were touting the story for a really long time, and you wouldn't say that something related to the story of the founder was hallucinating made up information. They were just kind of spouting out what they knew to be true. So I would label this more as a misconception than a hallucination. So what is a hallucination? Let's show you by doing a little bit of math. We'll start off with GPT 3.5.
Pinga spike, pinga spike, pinga
Let's
spike.
say 1, 2, 3. We'll say what is 123 times
Ah, mano.
406
Tá
times
sabendo?
79. So we're going to ask that question. And so it says, the result of 123 times 456 times 789 is 43 million. Let's actually see if that's true. So I'm going to copy and paste the work here. We'll go to a calculator.
Dos meus treinos
And
deu pau ainda.
let's go ahead and paste
Bora
that in.
comemorar.
And it looks like it's 44,253,432. Now, is that actually the same result I got here? You'll notice that it's close, but it's actually not correct. So if I run this calculation in a calculator, this is not the correct answer, but it looks
Homem.
very real.
Fecha a mira aqui, ó.
This
Ô,
is
Suva,
definitely
tenta pegar
a
meio, mano, dronando lá.
The
Consegue?
model has given you an output.
Encostar aqui nessa-
that's really convincing.
encostar aqui
It
nessa
looks
caixa aqui,
really real.
dronar, mano.
It even tried to like explain its
peraí.
logic a
Dá
little
cara
bit,
que, dá
but
cara
it's
que não ri, dá
totally
cara que não.
false.
Peraí.
Fechou,
Okay,
fechou.
so definitely a hallucination here. How can we try to fix this? You can use a little
Filha
bit
da
of prompt
puta.
Spike no
engineering
chão,
to
B.
add on to the fact that if
Tem um janelão.
doesn't know how to
Homem janelão,
calculate
Fênix
it,
bomb na
ah,
esquerda.
Puxou na
So for
DD,
example,
mano.
only answer if you are 100% certain you can calculate
Boa.
the result.
Tem o Fênix ainda lá, tá?
Otherwise,
Não, quer dizer, o Fênix não, o Cypher.
respond, I am not a calculator.
Bobinho já foi.
Deixa eu cair pra tirar os filhos.
Type of there.
Último jogador vivo.
Ah,
We'll go
puxou.
ahead and run
Ah, não
this.
tá foda. Sem o
And
sentinelinha
now you
aqui pra
notice
marcar o bagulho, tá?
realizes that it's not really a calculator. You just say, I'm not a calculator. So
Só
let's see what
ficar
happens
meio,
if
meio.
same initial question
Jogou muito.
and try
Mais um lá, tá?
GPT-4. Will it also hallucinate an answer? Notice that I've set up my
Ô,
code
direito.
interpreter beta to be on. We'll talk about code interpreter in a lot more detail later on, but you can set it on with settings, beta features, code interpreter. First, I'm going to show you without code interpreter, so just the default. If I copy and paste that same question,
Esse bicho aí virou
let's see if
cameraman.
GPT-4 hallucinates an
Ué,
answer.
cadê o vagão?
Remember
Restam
that
30
the correct
segundos.
answer, if we take a look at it,
Se quiser guardar, né, não é
is
feio não.
44253,432.
Acho que a gente tem
And we see
dinheiro,
here that it
tem.
hallucinated a wrong answer. It looks like it's correct, but it is definitely wrong.
Tá os
It's
dois
really
na
important to
Spike.
keep this
Certeza.
idea of the ability for models to hallucinate when you're working
Oi,
with the models. And keep in mind
Esse
that
maluco é
you're
muito
working
nerd,
with
mano.
cut and dry examples here.
Só ele, só que tá
mathematical
jogando.
Mano,
examples
vamos explodir A então,
that are
mano.
true or false.
Já que o
But there's
Cypher aí
also
tá
this idea
fudendo
of just
tudo, vamos
common
lá.
misconceptions that the
Vamos pegar
models
meio
may
lá.
have learned from
Vai
just
você,
reading the
vai
entire
você Zay,
transcript.
eu vou meio,
So
mano. Pode
don't
deixar.
take what these models kind of output as 100% factual. Later on, we're going to learn about plugins as well as the code interpreter that can help kind of hone in on the truth when you're asking it certain questions. Later on, we'll see that the code interpreter
É.
can just run this equation on a
Acabei de sair de
built-in
7 a 1,
calculator
voltei pra outro.
internally, which will allow it to answer truthfully, basically
mas não
do
adianta.
what Google does, which is, okay, take
Na
this
moral,
and run
você
it in a
morreu.
calculator, and then show me the result. And we'll see about plugins being able to connect to resources like Wikipedia to have a more trusted source of truth, rather than just kind of coming up with some sort of misconception about the founding of networks.
Revelando área.
Okay, so
Fez
make sure you
fez de
understand
minha.
hallucinations and misconceptions happen when we're
Último jogador vivo.
Ah, bateu.
Spike no
and we'll
chão.
see
A.
Foda, foda, foda.
Acho que era você. Quero levar o jogo.
Nossa, o cara deu um ace na gente, mexendo.
Welcome back, everyone,
Fala
to this
alguma
section of the
coisa?
course where we're going to discuss
Meus ouvidos estão
ChatGPT prompts
zunindo.
that work with additional text information. Now, we've already seen a few examples of summarization and extraction, but let's quickly go over the basics.
Vou falar em
So
mais
here we are
Valorant,
at
vai dar pra
ChatGPT.
falar
I've
nós dois
selected
não.
GPT-4. Let's go ahead and visit a Wikipedia article. Let's do this one on
E obrigado pro
Salt.
cara que não
Go ahead and
aceitou o
just copy
remake.
a lot of
Não
information
foi
here.
eu, mano. Juro
And
por
then
Deus.
what I'm going to do is
Deus.
have
Vou
GPT
Juro pela minha mãe. Olha aí.
do a summary, but remember, we can ask for
Já
different
sabem que-
formats of summary. We'll talk about transformation of tones and formats later on in this
O
section.
que domina aqui é
Say
muito
something
falso.
like, summarize this Wikipedia article.
Claro daí,
Saying
mano.
Também
Não
tá
sei
vendo.
o que,
bullet
velho.
points.
Lá vai,
There-
cara.
remember, you can always
Ativando o drone.
specify a limit to how many bullet points. You can say
Inimigo marcado.
maximum of 7
Mais um.
bullet points.
Porta Spike morreu.
Fix any type of
Sky menos 80, Sky menos 80,
Chão.
menos 80 no bomb.
Wikipedia should be
Só vai, mano, só vai, só vai,
capitalized.
só vai,
There
só
we
vai.
go. And then we're going to do shift enter.
Sova, tem
Paste
ult, mano,
in
tem
that
ult, Sova.
text and send it away. Alright,
Mano,
and
como
then
esse cara tá
we'll
menos
scroll down
80?
here while it's generating.
Último jogador
We
vivo.
Já
get
tá
a
sem
bunch
vida.
of information, and we can see here that it's creating the bullet. Note that it looks like it understood
Ah, ele voltou.
maximum 7
Tô com
bullet
a
Ah,
points,
valeu,
maximum
8 rounds
7
depois.
topics. There are sub
Melhor do que não, velho.
here. Now, there's different
Boa,
ways of
boa, Sova, valeu, fez
dealing
muito.
with that. We
Mas dá pra
could
ganhar,
be
hein?
very
Agora é hora-
strict
não, agora é
in
hora da virada,
instructions
vambora.
and say, you know,
Não,
maximum
os caras
7
vai ter
bullet
seguido.
points, including sub
Ô,
points.
Chamber,
Or
tá
later on,
bom aí,
we'll
mano?
learn about this idea of custom instructions that you can use to
É, eu acho que voltou
specify.
só
Actually, we already
com
learned about this. You can further specify
Chamber?
always
Tá-
insert
tá
in
com
as bolas
bullet
aí, velho?
points.
Mano, meu
Okay,
jogo
so that's
deu tela
summarization.
preta 4
Be,
vezes.
creative with different ways
Aí
to
é foda,
summarize
eu tô
this.
ligado.
Você é bom de mira, Chamber. Nós tá precisando de você, entendeu?
Summarize it in bullet points.
Tá 8-1, pai.
Summarize it in a
Os
table,
caras lá é ruim, mano. Tá
different
perdendo por causa de
formats
menos,
later
mano.
on.
desconhecido.
O Rick
The
Costa
other
na
thing we
Só
can
bota-
do
só
is
bota a
also
mira riso, só
extract
bota a mira riso.
information. So
Eu
I
tô
have
botando.
this large Wikipedia article. I can come back
Só
here
pegar
and
isso desse cara, já tá aqui na direitinho,
to
né?
summarize this Wikipedia
Tô na
article.
sua cola.
Say extract the most interesting or unusual
Recarregando.
line
Logo me pegou
from
aqui em cima, bagulho.
this Wikipedia article. Here we're actually
Localizando.
Nossa, que lixo.
go ahead and
Recarregando.
O cara comeu bem na hora que eu pulei.
submit.
Tem costa, tem costa, tem costa.
But, okay.
Inimigo
So it looks
sinalizado.
like this idea
Ó, o Timber
of
chegou matando,
miracle
vambora.
as being hailed as the most interesting. That's it. Just wanted to again
Spike no
reiterate
chão.
the fact
A.
that summarizing ways of summarizing. It doesn't always just need to be paragraphs. It can be bullet points. It can be any output format. you
Nossos
can think
novos
of.
amigos não são
Okay,
lá
we'll see you at
muito
the next one.
amigáveis.
Vamos fazer assim, ó.
Welcome
Vamos
back,
bater
everyone.
meio. Sova,
Let's
de
take
mid
a
round,
look at
na hora que acabar o round.
categorization in more
Spota aqui
detail.
DD,
We've
pra gente não
already
tomar
performed a little
surpresa.
bit of sentiment
Homem, já
analysis
esmocamos
and
o janelão.
discussed
E vamos tentar
prompts.
começar a área aqui, ó, pra ir lá pro B lá.
Categorization into different sentences.
Não, pra gente não pegar o fio do Cypher.
Foda que
Cara, pode-
o homem tá smocando aqui e aqui.
Só, mano, só bora. O Sova drone, drone aqui no meio. Spota, spota.
Estão aqui.
Ó, drone agora, drone, drone.
O Chamber tá miado.
É smoke tem gap, mano. Cuidado.
Are very technical questions.
Inimigo.
Forward to our IT department. But other general non-technical questions. It'd be great if we could get ChatGPT to read an email for us and then
Spike
give
no
us
chão.
a category
Meio. Último
response
jogador
to
vivo.
either
Magistrado.
technical or not.
Tomaram no time, velho.
Let's first start off by
Caralho,
generating
cinco
an
bateu
example
meio
email.
lá.
We'll say generate an email that
Última
is
rodada
asking
deste
a
tempo.
Compre tudo o que
technical
precisar.
question. And we'll say about, let's say, networking.
A arma tá foda, velho.
Okay, so it went ahead and, is asking this kind of very technical thing.
Mano, dá
and I'm
spike,
going
dá spike
to
aí.
later use this, but when we're dealing
Vamos
with
quatro, mano.
categorization,
Vai os
it's
quatro lá.
probably a good
Vai os quatro
idea
lá.
to
Vai lá, vai lá, vai lá.
take
Vamos
advantage
tentar fazer um
of
fake
custom
fudido agora.
instructions. So let's begin a
Vai os
new
quatro
chat.
lá.
Vai ser
Vamos ver.
foda, viu?
GPT-4,
Que o Cypher tem esse
default.
usinho de maluco aí na
Let's
B.
come to custom
Eu vou tentar
instructions.
as
And
fazer
here,
isso.
I'm going to actually give it context. So we are a customer
Revelando área.
that
Recarregando.
categorize
Ativando o drone.
inbound emails as technical or
Vou meio todo.
non.
Base.
71 na fade, 71 na real.
And then I always wanted to
71 na
respond
fade,
to
eles não
this
tem por
category,
lá.
so only respond
Isso aí, foi.
with the category,
Atirador de
Sova, homem.
either technical
Vou pegar a arma.
or.
Ai, tem um
And
o
of course,
Chamber
you
tá
can
de
specify any
o
type
Cypher tá
of
de OP.
response you want,
Mano,
so
só
I
vai,
will
então.
save that. And now,
Resta inimigo.
before I
Boa.
set up, let me go ahead and copy this email so we can imagine this email came in. We'll go ahead and copy that, set up a new chat, GPT-4, default, we have those custom instructions now. I'm going to paste in that message.
Mano, tá
say
geral
best
miado, tá?
regards.
Dá cara não.
We'll delete
Meu
that little
Deus.
templating and just say best regards, you know, Mike. And let's come up here and say dear, and we'll say customer support. Okay, so we'll send that into GPT-4, and now with the custom instructions, it should be able to categorize this. And note that it did understand that this was a technical email. Let's now just write our own email that is probably
Cadê desse aí?
not technical. We'll say,
Boa.
dear support team, enter. I was wondering what
Troca de
your
lados.
favorite colors are. And then we'll say from John. And let's see if it does technical or not technical.
Mano,
We'll run
nosso
that.
time é
Okay,
mais
that's
defensivo,
clearly
mano.
not
Então vamos tentar
technical
fazer
email.
aqui esse mapa é
So
100%
again, with the
defesa.
combination of custom
Dá pra ganhar,
instructions,
mano.
a
Se
little
vocês
bit of
ganhar o
prompt
pisto aqui
engineering,
primeiro,
and just the idea
beleza.
that categorization goes
Ó,
beyond
10 a 2 é
analysis.
jogar.
You have a lot of flexibility on what you
8
can
rounds
use
seguidos, só.
ChatGPT for. Okay, let's go to next lecture.
Não é difícil não. Achei isso feio, não vai fazer também.
Não quer ficar DD não, Rize? Fica DD lá, mano.
Eu jogo granada enquanto os caras rusham. Jogo granada
A
tabeladinha aqui.
great way to leverage ChatGPT is to transform
Eu
existing
fico DD
text.
aqui.
You can transform existing text to a different tone or a different format. Let's check this out. Okay, so here I am back at
Mocou aqui.
ChatGPT. Let's first discuss transformation
pra
of
cá, é pra cá.
existing text to a different tone. Let's imagine that I'm running a tourist agency or a travel agency, and I want people to visit San Francisco, and I have here a bunch of facts about San Francisco from Wikipedia. But
Muito
it's
miado, boa.
really more in the Wikipedia article tone
Boa.
rather than a tourist
Azenga!
kind of attraction tone. So what I'm going to do
Tô sem-
is
tá na smoke aí.
copy a lot of this,
Atrás da caixa, atrás da
and
caixa.
then
passou, já
we're
passou.
going to come back to ChatGPT
Sai pra trás.
and we'll say rewrite the following
Fechar.
text.
Resta um
You
inimigo.
don't need to say rewrite, you
Phoenix
can also say
garagem.
like summarize
Eu acertei
or
um tiro nele,
transition the tone, transform, etc. There's lots of keywords you can use here. In fact, let's just transform. So say transform the
Se não estiverem
following
indo bem,
text
tentem de
to
novo.
be
Temos
in
que
the
manter
tone
as aparências.
of a travel agency informing
Reforço.
people about reasons to
Mano,
visit.
agora é reforçar o B aí, porque esses caras quase tentam
And
vai
then
B,
we
mano.
will copy and paste that there. Enter that. So again, remember, this is from the Wikipedia page, so it's in a very formal tone, just giving you a bunch of facts. We'll scroll down here, and we'll see now it's in a lot more
Agora é o
of
round
a
do...
layperson, lively
oitão.
tone, journey to San Francisco, you know, historical significance. You can see it's taking those facts and giving them a spin of reasons to come visit San Francisco. And you can see it's adding in emojis.
Vou
The
aqui pra
tone
você
is
passar o riso,
totally
se quiser.
different. And we're taking existing
Tem pra aí?
text and then transforming it via tone.
Teve smoke aqui.
Tem.
And remember,
Oh,
it
bang.
doesn't need to be from
Oh.
formal.
Dois aí, dois aí, prende.
Passou pela tua
Text
pelo
and
teu smoke.
Please make it very formal.
Armadilha destruída.
Tem meio, tem
Meio de
meio.
meio.
So
Meio
as
de
another
meio.
example, it can always be kind of more instructional. So here I have another Wikipedia article about Pizza Farm.
Paixão.
Spike no chão. Último jogador vivo.
Ah, mano.
Resta um inimigo.
Desapareça.
Boa.
Copy and paste this
Tá meio.
into
Já tava mais pra esquerda, mas não sei não.
ChatGPT. Probably make a new chat for this, and we'll say transform this text
Vai,
will
esse
be
moleque,
instructional
amassou.
on reasons why someone should
Tamo aqui porque
create
somos os melhores.
a
Não
pizza
te
farm.
esqueça disso.
And then we'll paste that in.
O cara voltou só no 10º
And let's
round e
see
já
what
tem
it
mais
says.
kill que a
Okay,
gente.
so why you
quase.
should create a pizza farm? Educational purposes,
Entendeu, cara?
especially demonstration farm,
Olha aí que tava
innovative
faltando
and
ele.
fun. So it's taking, you know, even just a little bit of
Tio,
text
né,
here,
pô?
and this is kind of a mix between probably transformation and expansion, which we'll cover in more detail in the next lecture. You can see here,
Armado
again,
dos
it's
caras, né?
transforming the tone of it
Aham.
from a Wikipedia article to something more useful for our particular use case. Now, we
Localizando.
can also transform to different formats that then we can then
Meitei.
use. So for example, let's say I like
Okay.
this, but I actually want it to be in the
Tem
form
meio.
of a table. So all I need to do is say, please transform
Ah, entrou a
your
garagem, cara.
previous
Entra de
reply
sessão.
to the form.
Tô entrando aqui.
In ChatGPT,
Quebrei a câmera do Cypher. Vou tirar o teu outro.
A Sky tá meio, tá?
Ativando o drone.
Here, it suddenly appears that it's in a
Tem
table.
aqui no
And
fundo.
what this
Vou
actually is,
fazer
it's
granada lá
something
na entrada.
called Markdown. So Markdown is
Spike
a
plantada.
formatting that allows the
Boa.
browser to then render it to look
Sky tá velho
like
aí,
either
mano.
a bullet point or in bold or in
Último
table,
jogador
etc.
vivo.
Ah, minha mira tá na cabeça.
And if I copy this and put it in maybe for instance my
Ave
notepad
Maria.
here, if I were to just copy and paste that in Notepad, you'll see that I see the little bars showing things that are to be in bold and descriptions. But this is actually just known as markdown text. If I put this into a markdown editor, I'll be able to see within my browser the actual table here. And I can always play around with this for other formats. So I could say, you know, give me an HTML table instead. And it will start building this out as an HTML table with HTML code, which could be useful to give to a developer, you know, developing your website on pizza farms or whatever you happen to be working with. So you can see this would actually be equivalent. But if I were to copy and paste this code and go to a markdown editor, so stack edit is free in browser editor here, click on start writing, you can see there's markdown on the left, and then what it appears like.
Homem meio,
after
homem
you
meio,
run
homem
on the
meio,
right.
homem meio, homem.
So I can delete everything here.
Posso somar com você, só.
Copy
Vou
and
abrir.
paste this, and you can see now I
Cadê
have my table on the
101
right hand
size?
Ô,
side.
louco.
So just keep in mind that a lot of times
Todo meio, pelo
format
jeito.
is going to return things in markdown. Also ask for any
Vários
format you
detalhes.
want really to
Allô.
be like
Spike no
So
chão.
keep in
A.
mind you can transform both tones and formats.
Don't
ChatGPT is familiar with tons of different
Sempre
formatting
tá
options.
ligado.
Último jogador vivo.
Ai, caramba, eu joguei mal.
Spike plantado.
Jogou muito.
Finally, let's discuss
pingou em
expansion.
alguém, a
Expansion
bolha, né?
allows us to
Match
take a
point.
piece of
Morreu.
text and expand it into a much larger piece. In fact, we don't even need to necessarily provide the initial piece of text. We can have ChatGPT provide the initial piece.
É,
and
vamos tudo
expand
ou nada
from
nesse round
there.
aqui.
Let's see a quick example by generating a white paper or blog post.
Possível virar contra uns caras que jogam desse
Okay,
jeito
so here I
aí.
am back at ChatGPT. Let's first show you how you can get ChatGPT to give you a seed text that you can then expand into a larger piece. So for example,
Pega B lá
you can
já,
ask
eu
it
vou tá
to
aqui.
maybe give 5
Localizando.
bullet points about
Na
the
moral,
most
você morreu.
important aspects
É B.
of the
Ô, abençoado. Um tiro.
We'll go ahead
Bem,
about that. So it discusses the hack a little bit, or project a little bit, and then gives us these points. So let's
Nossa base.
forward to these points are done. Alright, and so now that's completed.
Yeah,
This idea of
33, né?
seed and scale, just how classified the project was always
GG,
interesting
rapaziada,
to me.
jogaram muito.
So now let's expand.
Último jogador
Valeu, valeu,
vivo.
valeu,
So,
tamo junto.
I can do this a couple
Foi
ways.
mal, galera.
I can just ask it to expand on point number 2,
Spike
or
plantada.
copy and paste it, and then
Se
use a
foi.
little bit of
Ganhar essa aqui é
prompt
dentro do Pix.
Limpo.
until it
Resta um
expands
inimigo.
on this
O saco
Eita.
somos
Ó, entrega.
125. 125.
Expand on secrecy and scale. It can go ahead and
Mas quem tá vivo, hein?
say
Valeu.
Nossa,
Vitória dos
valeu.
atacantes.
secrecy and scale in a